And I don't know why in my head, space launches and all that stuff has always equated to summer to me. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chia, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a recommendation for books to read during the summertime, as well as my personal summer TBR. There is going to be a bunch of various genres in here, ranging from romance, literary fiction, as well as some thriller recommendations too, because summer is one of my most favorite seasons to read thriller books in, aside from like spooky season of course. It's crazy that I'm actually filming this video because it's really kind of gloomy and cloudy outside right now, so I apologize for any changing lighting or anything like that because I don't see the sun coming out anytime soon. It's usual for this time of year, June gloom. That's typical for Southern California. Let's get started. The first category I have, which is going to be for my summer recs, is going to start off with contemporary romance. The next few contemporary romances are some of my most favorite contemporary romances of all time, but I didn't choose all my favorite contemporary romances. Obviously, I just chose the ones that screamed summer, that would be perfect to read on a vacation or on the beach somewhere. So my first ever one is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. In all honesty, I recommend the whole entire Part of Your World trilogy. I love Abby Jimenez's writing. She has amazing writing that equals not only contemporary romance, but as well as literary fiction, where the characters have like a lot of serious, deep topics that they are going through and have to work their way through, especially with trauma, and a lot of them are dealing with a lot of family issues as well. That's why I love her writing so much. Just for the Summer is one of my favorite books from her, but the one that tops it is Yours Truly. But that one, Yours Truly, wasn't really giving me summer vibes. So I would recommend, if you want to work your way up to Just for the Summer and you haven't read the Part of Your World trilogy at all, it's 3 books that are interconnected standalones. Our main character, Emma, she is a traveling nurse, and she has this sort of like curse, I guess you could say. She will date somebody, and after they end their relationship because it doesn't work out, the person they just dated meets the love of their life and they end up getting settled down and all that stuff and have a family. And so same thing with Justin. They end up bonding over a Reddit post where Justin ends up posting this Reddit page where it says, "Am I an a-hole?" talking about something to do with like his roommate's like dog or whatever. And then Justin and Emma end up connecting to each other because they both have the same like sort of, not necessarily affliction, like curse. So they decide to meet up in Minnesota, where Justin is from, so that they can date for a few weeks and then break it off at the end of the summer or whatever, so that they can break this curse. But the thing is, both of them end up coming with a lot of heavy baggage from both their families, and I gave this 5 stars. It's so good. Heavy like summer vibes. It's perfect. Next is my second favorite author for contemporary romance. My top number 1 is Book Lovers. This is my favorite Emily Henry book of all time. Similar with Abby Jimenez, she does an equal part of literary fiction as well as contemporary romance. They write like low spice in their books, so they're perfect if you're looking for basically low spice or no spice books where it's just more about the deep dive into people's characters and like the stuff that they have to deal with. I love this. Nora is my favorite female main character from all of her books. She's a literary agent. She ends up getting cajoled from her sister to spend one last summer before her sister gives birth to her 3rd child, to spend like a couple months over the summer in this like small town romance that one of her clients ends up writing. And so they go, and in the small town is not as idyllic as the book made it seem. In fact, I think the author embellished a lot of things in this book, but she ends up meeting her like work rival, I guess you could say, in that small town, and they end up like forming a relationship, as well as her dealing with being a workaholic and also dealing with a lot of issues on her end too, especially being like the sole family left over for her sister, and she has to deal with like taking care of her sister and stuff. The next favorite I have is like Happy Place, another perfect summer book. This one is very decisive. Some people hate it, some people love it, because there are some miscommunication stuff that are done in here, but I absolutely despise miscommunication. But I loved the characters in here, and I loved Harriet and Wynn's relationship, as well as examination of like friendships in here too, because they not only have to deal with their relationship, they have to deal with like basically trying to say goodbye to parts of their life with their friends, because their group of friends who have been friends since like early college has gone to this house that one of their friends' family owns every year for the past like few years, but their friend announces their family is deciding to sell the house. house. And so like there's a lot of emotions that come with that because it ties a lot to their memories, and also there's like examination of whether this place is the only thing that ties them together now, and whether this friend group will still work to be together if they don't have this constant place to come to every single summer. And it makes sense because a lot of them are like starting to grow families. This used to be my favorite #1 Emily Henry book before I read Book Lovers. And another one is People We Meet on Vacation. The movie adaptation came out a few months ago, or in February I think it did. I know a lot of people kind of don't like this book. I absolutely loved it. This one follows two characters who have been best friends since college. Poppy is sort of like a blogger, Instagrammer, and she works for this magazine where every single summer she gets to go and do this like high-end, fully all-inclusive like vacation, and every single year she's been taking her best friend Alex. And so every single summer they like jet set to like Greece or something, or Italy. They even like randomly go camping one year. It follows throughout their adventures, but they hadn't spoken present day for 2 years because of something that happens that we slowly uncover, and then we also slowly see how they become friends even though they're complete polar opposites. Poppy is a lot more outspoken, extroverted, quirky. Alex is a lot more subdued. He's quiet, he's more introverted, he's a lot more careful about a lot of things. So you would think that they wouldn't like match, but the way they connect is like on a different level. I love slowly uncovering like all the stuff that they did in their past summer, so perfect for summer. And the last Emily Henry book is definitely Funny Story. I love this. This is one of my favorite. It's top 3 I think of like Emily Henry books. This one follows Daphne. I love her because she works in a library. She's in charge of the children's section, so she organizes events there. Miles is a chef, and so the way they meet is Daphne's fiance and his girlfriend are best friends. On the week or weekend or whatever of Daphne's fiance's bachelor party, he ends up falling basically for his best friend, comes back home and tells Daphne that he is going to try having a relationship with his best friend and she needs to move out because the house is under his name. And so they end up living together and inadvertently start becoming like a fake dating trope for a certain thing that happens in the book. It's so good. I love how they slowly like became friends and everything. And then the next one is This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. I did not really like this book just for like its instill-us-ness, but I would read it for just the environment alone. It takes place in Prince Edward Island in Canada, and we follow two characters, Lucy and Felix. Lucy's best friend is getting married in Prince Edward Island. She's been going to Prince Edward Island pretty much every single summer since she met her best friend. She usually stays with her best friend's family and stuff like that. The first summer she ever goes there, she ends up arriving a day early, and her best friend ends up unfortunately getting like delayed an extra day. So she has to find a place to stay or things to do until her best friend comes the next day. And so she ends up running into Felix. They meet, they end up having a one-night stand, and then she finds out that Felix is her best friend's brother. The vibes are so perfect. It's like peak summer. It's a lot of summer activities. Felix is a part of a oyster competition every single year, so I would recommend this book highly for just the environment alone. It's such peak summer vibes. That's what I loved about it. If the relationship was a little bit better, it would have gotten a higher rating from me, but I hear that Carly Fortune's books are like peak summer, like all of it, and a lot of them take place in Canada. It's just beautiful the way she writes about this. It's just the vibes are immaculate for this book for summer. Next is a summer romance I read by Ali Hazelwood called Problematic Summer Romance. I read this last year. It's a age gap romance. This is another book where I didn't particularly like the relationship, but I recommend on vibes and environment alone and the atmosphere. So it takes place mainly in Sicily, in a Sicilian villa. This is sort of like a interconnected standalone that is part of Not in Love, because her brother who is getting married is the male main character from Not in Love. And so it follows the younger sister now, and she has a huge crush on her older brother's best friend. He's like 10 years older than her. She's in her early 20s and he's in his 30s. And he kind of holds her at like arm's length because obviously, number one, the age gap, and number two, she is his best friend's little sister. So of course there's like a bunch of taboo about that, forbidden stuff and everything. And so they have to spend summer together in Sicily. Again, I just recommend it on vibes alone. Sicily, it's such a perfect like environment for like a summer wedding. If you just want a book where it's just like setting perfectly into a summer place, especially if like you're not going going on a vacation or not anywhere near a beach and you just want the vibes of summer. And the next section is going to be the literary fiction books that I recommend. And if I haven't talked about this book enough on my channel, Into the Blue by Emma Brody. This is one of my top reads of this year. It's so good, and if I could find a way to recommend this in every single video, I would, but I'm trying not to be annoying about it. The reason why I chose this is because it's also peak summer vibes. It follows two characters, AJ and Noah. We first meet them in the early 2000s. AJ is working at this place called Real World. It's a VHS place, and she unfortunately loses a lot of like her future things that she's won in her accomplishments because she broke her arm and she wanted to get a scholarship for sports to Brown University, and it just changes her whole entire life because now she's losing this opportunity and she just wants to get out of her small town. She doesn't have a really good family life. And then in walks Noah. He is a part of this huge legacy. He's such a nepo baby where his great aunt used to be part of this like huge sci-fi indie kind of like movie or show that was pretty much like a cult classic, and AJ's a huge fan of that, and his dad's like a huge Oscar winner or whatever, and he ends up working at Real World for the summer. She gets angry about it because not only is she in the circumstance of not knowing where the rest of her future is going, but now she has to deal with this like nepo baby who doesn't really need to work, in all honesty. So they don't hit it off very well, but inadvertently they end up becoming scene partners. So they start learning under Noah's great aunt, and so they spend the whole entire summer being scene partners, and at the end of the summer Noah ends up kissing AJ, and then he ends up disappearing for 7 years. When they see each other, it all takes place majority of the time in summer, and there's like a bunch of Comic-Con conventions they go to, like con conventions, because they end up meeting again when they're starring in the sort of sequel, I guess you could say, to Astronauticals that his great aunt was on, and so they end up traveling all over the place so that they can promote this movie. And also again, it becomes another cult classic. It's a lot of peak summer stuff because I go to a lot of conventions during summertime. It's perfect, it's con season, and so I always tie it with summer, and majority of this takes place like during summertime when they meet over and over and over again. And if you want a heartbreaking, emotional, heart-wrenching, gut-twisting like love story where you feel all the emotions, highly pick this one up. If you haven't seen my other videos, highly recommending this book anyways. But yeah, this is more of an emotional summer read, but if that's more of like your mood right now, highly recommend Into the Blue. Next is more of like a dark comedy humor type of like story. It's called Wedding People by Ellison S. Patch. This follows a character named Phoebe. She unfortunately checks herself into the Cornwall Hotel in the end goal of unfortunately unaliving herself. But when she checks into the hotel, she finds out that there's sort of like a wedding happening during the same weekend as well, throughout the whole entire week actually. And she inadvertently ends up meeting up with the bride, and the bride finds out what she's doing, so the bride tells her that she can't do it because it's going to ruin her wedding week. So the bride makes it her like mission to get her to not do what she's going to do just for selfish reasons. Phoebe ends up somehow kind of interacting with a lot of the wedding guests, and I love this book. It takes place in like New England, I want to say Newport actually, Rhode Island, and it's so good during the summertime. You see a lot of the stuff that like New England is famous for, seafood, clam chowder, stuff like that, little small beach town. The hotel is like right on the beach, absolutely beautiful atmosphere, and I love the comedy and the character development we have in here, and everyone has their own like kind of little instances with Phoebe, I guess you could say, little interactions, and it's so funny. If you want something funny, heartwarming, and heart-hitting at the same time, I guess you could say, so highly recommend. This is one of my favorite reads of this year as well. Next is Ellen Hildebrand. Majority of her books takes place in Nantucket, again a New England like summer. It takes place inside this hotel called the Hotel Nantucket. It follows the various characters who are employees at this hotel, and it also ventures out to like different parts, like little small town beach towns and everything, and especially if you're wanting to follow various different characters, because it just doesn't focus on just one main character, and it also focuses on some of the in and outs of like guests coming in here. And there's also a little bit of like a little paranormal thing happening too, because we also have a POV from a ghost of a person who unfortunately passed away in this hotel years and years ago, and there's this like talks of like this hotel being cursed because of all the things that happened in it and how people people who acquire this hotel, like owners and stuff like that, don't end up making it past a certain time. It's so good. And the main thing about it is that they want to impress this influencer who they don't know who she is, they don't know what she looks like, they don't even know when she's coming, and they want to impress her and get the 5 keys or something like that that no hotel has ever gotten, and that's the whole entire goal of the owner. And then there's a chef in here who makes a bunch of like seafood dishes. And then another book that's like sort of emotional hitting as well, The Burning Side by Sarah Demoff. This takes place in Texas in the middle of summer, so again the environment is perfect for summer. Be aware there's a lot of emotional stuff that happens here too. There's talks of postpartum depression. There's also a diagnosis of Alzheimer's in here, so just be aware of that. But it's so good. Sarah Demoff's writing is amazing for like everything, the emotional stuff that she makes you feel, and also makes you realize like the human condition is universal. It's not necessarily one person who's feeling this, but every single person goes through certain parts of their life that you personally maybe never feel ever, thankfully, but at the same time you see from their perspective and understand and empathize with the people in this book because you could see how they feel about it. And I love it, and Sarah Demoff is one of my favorite authors, especially from this year. And then I'm gonna talk about another book where like I'm currently in the middle of it. I'm less than 100 pages away of finishing it actually. This is on my June TBR. It's Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. We basically have this setting in this aquarium, like mainly. We follow a character named Tova. She is kind of really feeling like depression because she not only lost her husband from cancer, but 30 years ago she lost her only son. And there's a mystery behind it because she never really found out what happened to him. And so she's been on her own for a good while now since she doesn't have her son and she lost her husband. And so she is older, she's in her 70s, and she works at night over in this aquarium just being the cleaning lady, and she kind of has this little interaction with this octopus named Marcellus, and we get a POV from Marcellus. He just observes the humans in here. It's very quirky and funny because he just observes things that seem sort of obvious to him, but to other humans he's flabbergasted at why they don't see the obviousness of certain things, and he just observes it, and he is like at the near end of his life. Very heartwarming. It's a slower story and it's a lot more emotional, but it's very wholesome, I want to say. And we also get different perspectives outside of like Marcellus and also Tova, and I do really like the audiobook as well. And the last literary fiction I want to recommend is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Perfect for summer. She gets trained in the like heat of summer. It takes place in Texas. Follow a character named Joan. She is a professor over at this college over physics and astronomy, I think it is. So she ends up finding out that, I think it takes place in the 80s, she ends up finding out that they're looking for new astronauts, and she's always wanted to be an astronaut. They're opening it to female astronauts now when they never did before, and she wants to be a part of it. So she goes and applies, gets in, and ends up spending the next like 7 years training before she goes off to like missions and stuff. It talks a lot about how hot it is during this point and how becoming an astronaut is not glamorized in this book, where it takes a toll on you physically, mentally, and emotionally, and you have to really want this in order to survive in this kind of like environment. And so unfortunately she has met with a lot of opposition because of her gender in this thing, because it's been mainly white male dominated, and so she has to overcome a lot of things. And it also follows like her relationship with a lot of her cohorts, and we end up seeing her fall in love as well. It's so good. And I don't know why in my head space launches and all that stuff has always equated to summer to me, but I feel like this is perfect for it, so I highly recommend. And be prepared for an emotional ending also. As you can tell, I love a lot of like emotional literary fictions. Next couple is probably like the smallest category I have. Thrillers. None of this is true. This takes place in summertime as well, mainly June and July. So we follow a character who is named Alex, and she ends up meeting her birthday twin, and Alex is a famous podcaster. Josie is her birthday twin, and Josie ends up coming to her and saying that I have a story for you and I would like to be featured on your podcast. So Alex hears her story and says, yes, you need to come on my podcast. Mysterious stuff starts happening, and I really did love a lot of the twists, and it kind of was slow going a little bit in the middle, but it's prime peak for summer. Like I said in the beginning, I love thrillers during summertime. It's one of my favorite things. I've always loved like the slasher movies that come out during the summertime in the 90s, and I equate it again to like how they were set in summertime. I loved it. This is one of my favorite thrillers. I don't have a lot of favorite thrillers, but this one is perfect for summer. And then Frida McFadden, any Frida McFadden books in all honesty scream summer to me, especially The Housemaid. It's one of my favorite like thrillers from her. It's easy to read. It gives on the eerie feeling, and it's so easy to binge. You can easily finish it in like a day, less than a day, few hours, because her books are not that hard to get into. into, and they're perfect for like when you're on the beach, next to the pool, you know, traveling on a plane to a beach destination, whatever, on vacation. And so yeah, that's my last thriller recommendation. And the last category I have for my recommendations is fantasy. I don't have a lot for this, even though fantasy is my main genre, because when I was looking through all my fantasies, a lot of them, like, yeah, there's parts where they are, you know, circling through summer, but then they cycle through the whole entire year. But I feel like these ones like scream summer to me because they take place in like an area where it's like kind of summer all the time. The first one is A Dance of Lice by Brittany Arena. This is perfect, immaculate vibes for summer because it takes place in like this like sea coast little area on a cliff in this kingdom where it's like majority of the castle is made of sea glass. The way it was being described, it sounded like Greece to me, and it sounds so perfect. We follow a character named Vasa. She is a dancer, but unfortunately she's been jailed for 2 years, and over that time she's lost a lot of her abilities, and then her body started deteriorating while she was stuck in this jail. The king who jailed her in there makes a deal with her that if she becomes a spy and becomes a dancer again to perform at his brother's kingdom to spy for him, then he will let her off after she's done doing whatever she needs to do for him. So of course she agrees because she wants her freedom. But when she gets to this like coast town, she makes a lot of friends, and she finds that maybe the king wasn't completely being truthful to her and he had ulterior motives for her going to this place. It's so good. I love the writing in this. I love the whole entire dancing aspect in this, and I love that it takes place somewhere next to the water the whole entire time. The sequel's coming out this coming July next month, so I will be picking up that, but I'll talk about that more in my TBR. And the last one for my recommendations is Metal Slinger by Rachel Schneider. We follow a character named Bryn, and she is like living in this town where they're on the water, so it's a lot of like sea-based stuff. And so she ends up going to this place called the Kenta Market. She's been like a part of this guard for years, and so finally she has a chance to go to this Kenta Market. And unfortunately, when they go to the Kenta Market, some stuff goes down. She unfortunately like pisses off a lot of the Kenta people. She inadvertently kind of starts like a little war. They come back to Alaha, where she's from, where it's all based on water. Like, imagine all these like buildings and houses built on top of the water. And so it's very summer vibes. And then a person who lives in Kenta ends up coming to try to apprehend her because she needs to pay for the stuff that she did over in the Kenta Market. He ends up tying to her past a lot more than she thought he would. It reminds me a lot of like tropical vacation things. So highly recommend Metal Slinger. And there's also a diabolical like plot twist in here too. Now I'm going to be talking about what books I want to read a part of my summer TBR. And so this is going to be sort of like my priority TBR for when I pick my TBR prompt jars to read first, so that like I can get like the full on summer vibes, because a lot of these are similar, you know, categories to the books I recommended. Let's start off with literary fiction. I think I only have one, but which is Shark Heart by Emily Habak. This follows a character who is unfortunately watching her husband turn into a shark. It seems ridiculous. A lot of people that I trust their opinions of has given this book a high rating, so I just want to see for myself what it's about. And I heard the writing is amazing in this book, and it's such a surprise because it's sort of magical realism, but not because I guess being a shark turning into a sea animal I guess just makes sense here, or is kind of common in this world, I guess you could say. And I just want to know what it's all about, and since he's turning into a shark, I'm assuming it's gonna be like dealing with a lot of the ocean too, which is perfect for summer. Next is a book I've been talking about since last year, My Friends by Frederick Bachman. I mean, they're in a pool, it screams summer, and I guess it's about like this picture or this painting that is about this guy and his friends, and I guess it flashes back to present day and past where he spent summers with his best friends, and then it talks about the people in the painting. And I know Frederick Bachman's writing is going to hurt me, it's going to emotionally hurt me, so I can't wait to read that. And I absolutely loved Anxious People by Frederick Bachman, and I have a huge feeling that I'm going to love this just as much, if not maybe more. We'll see. I'm ready to pick up another Frederick Bachman, and this is perfect for summertime. Like I said, the whole entire cover screams summer and water, and summertime I've always loved like going to water parks and, you know, running around in like the little splash zones as a kid, and I absolutely love it. Next section is more of like a mystery thriller kind of vibe for like my TBR. The next is God of the Woods by Liz Moore. It's a slow mystery but uncovering of a lot of things, especially like the little plot twists that you find out. Apparently it's amazing in here, and I love the fact that it takes place in a summer camp. Like I said earlier, like when I talked about the thriller section, I love like slasher mystery thrillers set in camps and like summer camps and like little things like that. There's a story of this girl who gets kidnapped, and I guess I don't know how long ago, like in the past like maybe 10 years or so, her brother also got kidnapped, so they're trying to figure out what's happening, and I can't wait to actually find out what this book is about. I was gonna pick it up like earlier this year, but I knew it would be peak to pick it up during summertime. I can't wait to pick this up. And then next is like an actual thriller, which is The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I was a part of this like thriller group last year, and one of the things that we had to do was like gift each other like books from our wish list, and I was gifted by one of like the people who was in that club, and I am so grateful that they did because I really want to read this. I guess it's about this girl who goes to the lake to spend the summer in because she's an actress and she's trying to escape the press, and she lives in this like house across the lake from a glass house, which features this couple named Tom and Catherine Royce, and I guess like she becomes friends with them, and one day she finds out that Catherine, I guess, disappears, and she has a high feeling that it's her husband who did it, but she has no proof, and she's trying to figure out, and it takes place on a lake during summertime, so perfect summer vibes. Like I said, Dance of Lies, the To Dance with Death is the sequel, especially with like this huge cliffhanger that we got, and it's taking place in the same area around like the Greece looking palace area with the sea glass and everything. So I can't wait for that sequel to come out. It's coming out in July, I want to say. It's so good. And also another one I want to pick up that's been another one on my TBR and one of my favorite loot books is Air of Storms by Lauren Helmison Murray. It's this girl who, when she was born, basically created this catastrophic like storm that unalived a lot of the people that lived in her area and in the world, and so a lot of people are fearful of her, and it's shocked that she was born with water powers because she comes from a family that mainly gets fire power, so she's like the anomaly, and I heard it's just a fun good time. Another one is a sequel to a book that I didn't really like but I want to give it another chance. It's Fallen Stars by Imani Eru, and it's a sequel to Heavenly Bodies. I heard that this one is a lot more sea-based. Apologies if there's like any change in angle or whatever. I had to delete a lot of footage from my memory card because apparently I talk too much. As I was saying, yes, I want to read this sequel, and I heard that this one's like a lot more where we get introduced to pirates, and there's like a adventure they go on for going on the sea and everything. I'm just interested to see what's gonna happen next because of like the cliffhanger that we got at the end, as well as like how are they gonna resolve that. But I know this is going to be a 5-book series, so it's gonna take a while for it to be resolved, and this is another series that I want to give a chance to because the first one I probably was slumping, so I want to try to reread the first one again, or maybe just jump into this one and see if I can like, you know, remember what happened. But I was slumping maybe like around the time when I read Heavenly Bodies, and I really want to give this series a chance. The first book that I read that I gave another chance to for the second book and I loved was like, you know, When the Moon Hatched, The Ballad of Falling Dragons. Love that, so I'm hoping that's the same case with this one. We shall see. And then next is the sequel to Metal Slinger by Rachel Schneider called Light Wielder. I've been waiting for the sequel for like 2 years now, especially after that cliffhanger, and that's another sea-based one. Like I said, it takes place like on the water and stuff, so that one I want to pick up as well. The next category now is going to be contemporary romance. This is the one that has the most because I tend to read a lot of contemporary romances during the summertime. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, because then once like it starts getting to fall season and like winter and spring, that's when I read the least amount of contemporary romances. So the first one is going to be 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. I've heard amazing things about this book. Apparently like it's like this two childhood friends who haven't really seen each other in a while, but they've been in love with each other since they were kids, and instead of like, you know, telling each other and professing each other the confessions they have, they write to each other their feelings in their books. And I want to see how that is like, you know, executed, because I heard amazing things about Tia Williams's writing, and it's like June right now, so I want to get to it before the end of June. I think it's perfect. It's also on Kindle Unlimited, so I'll be reading it on there. And then next is Phoebe Berman's Gonna Lose It by Brooke Averick. This one follows a character who is about to turn 30, and like a month right before she turns 30, or when she turns 30, her goal is to lose her virginity. And so she goes on like a checklist to figure out, and I guess like there's multiple love interests that she has to choose from. And I heard amazing things about this contemporary romance. I can't wait to read it. And so that's one else. Next is like a physical copy I have, which is Carly Fortune's Our Perfect Storm. It takes place in the summertime. It's about Frankie and George, and I guess Frankie gets left at the altar and George is her best friend. And so after a few months, she has her honeymoon coming up. George like suggests to her that instead of canceling everything, she should drown her sorrows and they should go and like spend a week this vacation where it was supposed to be her honeymoon. And I just see like it's beach. I think they learn how to surf. I want to see them since it says this right here. And then this takes place in, I want to see if this takes place in Canada also. If you know, yes, in Canada again. Yes, off of Vancouver Island. So yeah, I'm excited for this. I hope I like the couple more, then the summer will be different. I hope it's not as lusty, so we shall see. And the next is a book by Catherine Walsh. It's called How to Write a Love Story. I don't know if you saw my like haul video. I said I picked this up because I loved her book that came out in Christmas time. It was called The Holiday Romance. I don't really give any high rating to holiday romances. I just like they're the same thing with like summer romance books where they're just there for the atmosphere and to get you into like the spirit of it. That one I absolutely loved. It was perfect on the holiday front, on the Christmas front. I loved the whole entire story of how the couple got together. I absolutely loved the way that was written, so I knew I wanted to pick up her full-length like summer book, which is How to Write a Love Story. I guess this follows a character who is named Ciara. Her dad unfortunately passes away, and so he leaves her a manuscript for a fantasy series that he's been writing, and he tasks her to write the final book. And so an editor is tasked to come and help her, and they end up having like a love story because he's also, I guess, a huge fan of her dad's work also. And I just can't wait to read this, that like it's outside of like her holiday romances, so I'm interested to see how her writing is in this. But it takes place in Ireland, and Ireland has been on my bucket list for years along with Scotland. I love like seeing more of the rolling countryside of this, of how green Ireland is, so that's definitely on the list for summer. Three more actually. So The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. I don't know too much about this book. I just know it's like a fake dating romance, and the difference about it is that like it's a famous actor or something, I want to say singer, whatever. Instead of him being the bodyguard, she protects him, and so he needs to go back home or something to help take care of a family member and ends up taking his bodyguard with him. The reason why Hannah gets hired to bodyguard him is because there's like a stalker that's following him around, and he has to keep his bodyguard with him, and he doesn't want his family to worry, so he tells her to if she can act as his girlfriend instead of his bodyguard. So it's like a fake dating thing. I think that's one of my favorite like tropes. I love fake dating. I think enemies to lovers, also marriage of convenience is another favorite trope of mine. The last two is another two books by Carly Fortune, which is Every Year After and One Golden Summer. I'm smushing them together because I guess they're in the same sort of like interconnected standalones. They take place in the same place. They follow two brothers. The first one, he has a little love story with that, and then the second one, I guess you have to read Every Year After because of like the stuff that happens at the end of the book, so it goes straight into One Golden Summer. I'm not too sure. I just know I've heard so many things about the show that has come out, which is, oh, I'm so sorry. The book is called Every Summer After, but the show is called Every Year After, so I'm sure you already see by like the books that I put up. I don't know why they changed the title like that, but whatever. I don't know if I'm gonna watch the show, but I know I want to read the book before picking up the show. I don't know why my brain has to work like that. Like I said, I'm trying to give Carly Fortune another chance and hoping that there's a couple in one of her books that I get obsessed over. That is it, friends. Yes, that is all the summer recs that I have, as well as summer TBR. If you made it this far, like and subscribe. It really does help my channel a lot. And also comment down below if you have any summer recs or what's on your TBR. And I will see you all next time. Bye!